It is Thursday, September 26, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today. That is not my man, Trevor Plouffe. That is my girl, Katie Woo from The Athletic. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan along for the ride as well. I can see that smile on your face. Season's almost over. The grind is almost finished.
Rosie, I cannot believe we are approaching the final series of the regular season. I honestly feels like I was in Jupiter, Florida for spring training not that long ago. I don't know where these nearly 162 games went. It is bittersweet. I was just talking to some friends at the ballpark yesterday, and I said, "Guys, we're running out of time together." And when you spend an entire season every day with a group of people, even for as grueling as the season can be, it is sad to say goodbye for the off season. So mixed emotions for me. Cardinals are heading to San Francisco, where I'm from, to end the season, so that will be fun. Certainly not the most exciting season in St. Louis, but
No.
I'm grateful for it nonetheless. And we should have very, very exciting postseason baseball that I will have the luxury of watching from my couch. So it will be nice.
And the season is not going to even end on Sunday. We'll get to that momentarily. Once again, I want to remind everybody that Baseball Today is presented to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. We got a pair of tips of the cap. First one, personal note from the Rose family. Our youngest son, Brady, 19 years old today. And we are off visiting him at Parents' Weekend, so very proud of him. He's a good kid. He's gotten into this business. He loves doing content creation. He's a shooter. He's a graphic designer and an all-around good kid. Love him dearly. So happy birthday, Brady. And we're happy to be with you over the weekend. So that'll be a whole lot of fun. Then we have to say hello to Brady, but goodbye to the Oakland A's, who are playing their last game there today. We'll have much more on that on tomorrow's show. But look at this. How awesome. Grounds crew pouring bottles of dirt for fans to take home. What a nice touch, huh?
Oh, I love this. Like I said, grew up in the Bay Area, was a Giants fan over the A's, but it's brutal. No matter where you look at this, it's just what the worst part is this is because the A's just have so much history. There was Bay Area baseball was so much fun to have two teams. And the worst part is it could have all been avoided. It didn't have to be this way. And sadly, it is.
Stinks. Do you have a lot of A's fans that you grew up with or mostly Giants?
I do. Actually, in high school, we went to A's games all the time because it was like $6 to get a hot dog and sit in the parking lot. And it was awesome. My brother is actually going to that final game today and his friends.
Oh,
So, yeah, tough. It's very tough. I remember when the Cardinals went in Oakland or to Oakland in April, I was walking out and I was like, wow, this is the last time I will leave the Oakland Coliseum. I never thought that would be a sentence I would ever say. So, disappointing, frustrating, and just all around sad. Two thumbs down, Rosie.
it
Hate it.
is. It is. Sucks for the fans, and they're like the kids in the divorce that just get pulled both ways, and it stinks, and it's awful. Hopefully, they'll have a wonderful celebration there today because the fans certainly deserve it. The players, the manager, the coaching staff, everybody behind the scenes, you deserve your moment, and certainly, I hope everybody embraces it today and doesn't do anything silly. So, with that being said, we're going to start with a weird situation in the National League wild card. Here's the good news for the Arizona Diamondbacks fans. You actually won. You beat the Giants. That's good. So right now, as the standings sit, it's the Mets percentage points ahead of the Diamondbacks. Then the Braves are a game back. Well, that Mets-Braves series got pushed because of the impending hurricane that's about to blow through Atlanta. And so games that were scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday have now been pushed to a doubleheader on Monday. So here's what could happen for, say, the New York Mets. They could play in Milwaukee over the weekend, shoot to Atlanta for 2 games on Monday, win that, possibly fly to San Diego for a playoff game on Tuesday. Skipper, how's that going to go for you?
Playing a playoff game, that's a good thing, and I'm not going to get too far ahead, and right now we just got to concentrate on the next series, Didn't play today, we're not going to play tomorrow. And like I said, we got to take care of business there on over the weekend, and then worry about the doubleheader here when we get here.
Okay, so Katie, do you embrace the impending shit show, or do you hate what it might do to baseball's schedule next week?
I hate it, but there's nothing we can do about it, right? And Mets fans, I empathize with you. I love you guys. You go through things that you don't deserve. You don't deserve another unnecessary element of stress, but it is a little funny because this is something that I feel like is so Mets, right? Like this, in a way, I think hurts them. I don't know. I was walking back from the game yesterday with a couple players to the hotel, and all of them were just in awe of how wild that situation could get. And all of them said it would be a nightmare just to deal with the logistics, not even playing, but just figure out, how do you deploy your pitching staff? Who's ready? What can you plan for? What can't you? I got so confused just talking about it. The good news, Mets fans, because I am rooting for your happiness, I promise, is you control your own destiny. So the Mets go to Milwaukee, take care of business there. I understand that is much easier said than done, especially being on the road, but they can control a lot of their outcome. You're smarter than me at this, Rosie. I don't know how Mets and Braves impact Arizona by not playing. I would assume that actually works out well, or yeah, better for Arizona because they were going to pick up, maybe not actually, because they were going to pick up a win either way. See, maybe this is bad for Arizona. See how confusing this is?
It is.
The aforementioned shit show is very hard for me. So I don't like what it does for baseball because I just think it could put the Mets and the Braves in an impossible position. It's really difficult to plan for. Then all of a sudden you're going into the wild card series. You're already at a disadvantage. At the same time, not much they can do about it. So embrace it, Mets fans, and keep your fingers crossed. And I don't know. I don't know what a better solution is. I don't think there is one. I think we can just all acknowledge that the solution that everyone came up with is not great, but there's not a better one.
Well, first of all, I feel funny talking about it in a baseball sense. I mean, this is a life-altering possibility of a weather storm, right? We have this once or twice a year. And so first things first is that we pray that everybody is safe wherever that path of destruction is going to take it. Our job is to talk about baseball and the impact that it does have. So in the grand scheme of things, we understand how minuscule it is, okay? We are not desensitized to that. However, in the baseball world, if you remember a couple years ago, I think it was 2018, when the Rockies had to win on the final day of the season at home, fly out to LA on a Monday to play a game 163 tiebreaker, which we don't do anymore. They lost that, so they had to go play in the wild card series the next day in Chicago, where they won the one-game wild card, and then they shot up to Milwaukee and they got swept out of that series. But they were playing in 4 cities in like 3 days or something crazy. And so we were all just marveling at that. This one is obviously a little different because, A, we don't even know if the Kansas City Royals can get into Atlanta to play that series this weekend. So what is on the table right now as we tape might not be reality come Monday of a doubleheader between the Braves and the Mets. And to me, that's the part of this whole equation. If they have to push back the National League wild card round because of that, then where are we?
I didn't even think about the Royals not being able to go into Atlanta. Again, this situation is above my pay grade. It's too complicated. I just want to like close my eyes and be like, it'll be fine. Everything's going to work out. Yeah, that I can't remember a situation like that happening. And yeah, every time I go to Atlanta, I wonder, like, how does this city not have a dome? And I'm not a dome baseball girl. I actually really don't like them, but it would make so much more sense in that city. And I like that ballpark. I do. I like the crowd. Hopefully they can play some meaningful baseball there. But to just be up in the air and kind of be in, I don't know, agony all the time, that's not good for anyone. But that is, I guess, a nice little teaser to the postseason. It's only going to get worse. So,
and then I just thought about this, is that if Kansas City can't get in there and play, that affects the American League wild card as well, possibly.
Right. Right, because the American League Central and the American League Wild Card is, well, not the Central anymore, but the teams in the Central, they're all over the place. There's no clear definitive favorite.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I think at this point, Rosie, we just have to embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Just do it. It's gonna get weird. Let's get weird. Why not? It's been a weird season. Let's ride it out.
So I don't even know. Wow. It's possible the season is not over on Monday. It really is. It's possible. And then everything gets pushed back. And then, oh my God, I can't. You're going to have teams losing off days in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Look out.
All of a sudden, when you're constructing your pitching staffs, it matters now if you have 4 quality starters instead of 3. When in the postseason, like usually you see teams deploying their best 3 starters, and that's all you need. Now it's like, hey, if you have 5 pitchers, you're in a much better advantage than you are for a team that has like 3 quality ones and 2 iffy ones, you know?
Could you imagine if you're a team that has to pitch somebody on Monday and then they can't even pitch in the wild card round?
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
If you're the Bucks or the Braves, then you're already disadvantaged coming into the wild card because you've burned, if worst case scenario, 2 of your best pitchers just to get in.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare scenario for the sport. I don't know if they could have avoided it. The only thing was moving it to a neutral site game, which I believe I heard Brian Snitker say was not even discussed. So we'll see. If they can't get these Royals games in, they're in real trouble. If they can get in everything on schedule Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, they'll be fine. It won't be easy. It'll be tough on those teams. As I've seen people tweet around, it's not like the Mets would be taking horseback and wagon, through the prairies to get to San Diego. But
it will be on a nice charter, but that travel's grueling.
It can be.
Especially at the end of the year, just constantly on the go. So I get it. Mostly Mets fans, I feel for you. This is a very Mets thing to happen at the end of the year.
Let's get to the American League, where the wild card standings did not change at all based on what happened on Wednesday, because you had the Tigers, the Royals, the Twins, the Mariners all won. So you've got the Royals and Tigers fighting it out for that second wild card right now. The Twins are 2 back. The Mariners are 2.5 back and dangling by a thread. It has led to some amazing moments and great calls on TV and radio in recent weeks, particularly out of Motown. Listen to the dulcet tones of Jason Benetti and Carlos Pena.
Would be surprised right here if Rodriguez comes back with the slider. And Torkelson's got a beat on it.
Oh. Yes, he does! Somebody alert NASA! A torque bomb for the ages!
That is freaking awesome. So for people that are joining us audio only, they sent out the split. So you get to see Torkelson swing and you get to see the Bally's booth up there. That was some cool stuff. I loved it. Some people are like, oh, I hate it when the local announcers root for their team. They're hired by the team. This is not the NFL where it's all national broadcasters. That's silly. That was a great moment.
Also, if you're a local broadcaster, you're appealing to your local audience. Why would you, as a Tigers fan, well, I doubt people, I don't know. As a Tigers fan, as a fan of any team, wouldn't you want that? Wouldn't you want your broadcast to share the same excitement as you do? I'm fired up. And I never watch Tigers games. So that made me want to get on board. I love the call. I love what the Tigers are doing. Every year in baseball, there's a team that just comes out of nowhere and everyone's like, no way, it won't happen. And then they keep winning and people are like, okay, yeah, it still won't happen. And all of a sudden, here we are on September 26th, like, oh my gosh, are the Detroit Tigers a playoff team? Because I kind of think they're a playoff team.
Not only are they a playoff team, I think they're the one that nobody wants to play. A little bit like the Arizona Diamondbacks a year ago, perhaps. I mean, the Diamondbacks, they were great, and then they hit that major slide in August. Then they rebounded enough to squeak it into the playoffs, and then they run all the way to the World Series. Can you see a similar blueprint coming out of Detroit this year or no?
I think it depends who they're matched up against in that first round, because when you have a relatively inexperienced, I'm just talking about the youth movement in Detroit, playoffs can be daunting. It's a whole new ballgame, no pun intended. So another thing, though, on the flip side is the playoffs. It's all about getting hot at the right time. And the Tigers are certainly hot at the right time. Confidence does everything. So if this young team can adjust to the playoff atmosphere, I'm not sure going into Minute Maid Park, for example, would be the most welcoming environment. But if they can, and they can get through the first round, I'm not going to make the same mistake that I did with the D-backs, which was last year. I was so convinced the other team would win. I would be very confident in Detroit, but I would like to see what they look like in the first round to start with, just because you can never tell how a team is going to show up in the postseason, especially one that lacks from a majority of their core a lot of postseason experience.
So I think you nailed it. To me, if I'm comparing Detroit this year to Arizona from last season, I like the Diamondbacks lineup a lot better. The pitching is where it gets super interesting. Because if you were to line up all of the starting pitching between Detroit this year and Arizona last year, you take Skubal as the definitive one. I mean, he's been the best pitcher in the American League, starting pitcher by far. Then you'd go Gallen, Merrill Kelly. Then going into the playoffs, they didn't exactly know who they had or what they had, and stepped up to a totally different level. To me, the difference here is that Detroit's bullpen has been going full bore. Like, if you look at every 5 games for the Detroit Tigers, they don't list 5 starting pitchers, right? They list Skubal, they list Montero, they list Mize. They just got Reese Olson back. He's made 2 starts since coming back from injury, but he's thrown fewer than 6 innings total. So I can't really put him in the starters category yet because he's not stretched out. Then they always have at least one bullpen game. It feels like at least one bulk game in that swing of 5. So all these dudes are doing an amazing job. Foley, Vest, Brisky, Hannafy, Holton has been incredible. Gunther. They just added Jackson Jobe, who made his major league debut last night. So they're a team that, I mean, they're going to have to do great work in a short amount of time for a bullpen, and that could wear on you in the playoffs. But I think they could be real tricky for a lot of teams in the American League.
And I think that'd be so fun because we get caught up in the powerhouses. We get caught up in Houston. We get caught up in, are the Yankees going to clinch today? For your boy talking Jake, and his sake, I certainly hope so. We get caught up in the Orioles. The Guardians have been awesome. But I just love the idea of a team that nobody is thinking of just coming in and messing everything up. I love chaos when I don't have to be a part of it. So I'm on board with the Detroit Tigers. I hope they can finish this out, and it'll be interesting to see how that seeding works out. But they could be onto something here, Rosie. And, worst case scenario, they've set a really high expectation for 2025, and that's one that I think that they'll go out and they'll reach.
Yeah, I picked them to win the division at the beginning of the year, and 4 months into it, I looked like a schmuck yet again. And now I'm not looking quite as dumb, just kind of half dumb.
Redemption tour. That's what it is.
Not really. I'll take half dumb.
Okay.
That's the way we roll around here at John Boy Media and Baseball Today. This episode, which is brought to you by Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Baseball postseason, just a few days away, we think, weather pending. So that means it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your baseball rivals cities. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find the perfect stay for this postseason, even in your baseball rival cities. I can tell you, Katie can tell you from covering the sport, there is nothing like attending a playoff baseball game. It's even better on the road. 2016, I've told you the story. My then Cleveland Indians make the World Series. We play in the first World Series game at Wrigley Field since 1945. It was amazing to be in that atmosphere. You might not find some sort of historical context like that this coming postseason, but you'll have a ton of fun because there is nothing like watching your favorite team beat your least favorite team on the road in the playoffs. From hotels that look over stadiums to family-friendly resorts to cute bed and breakfast stays, Booking.com has so many choices across this great country of ours. So the right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your baseball rivals. Book today on Booking.com and download the Booking.com app right now. What's your favorite road city to visit?
Ooh, I think Chicago, number one. I just love everything about the road trip. I love Wrigley Field. I love the stadium, the atmosphere, and the food scene is great. I think I've said this before. Milwaukee is very underrated. And I love San Diego, but that's not original. Everyone loves San Diego.
True.
Why not?
True. There you go. Go book your trip right now on Booking.com. The Yankees have booked their trip to the postseason, not yet as the American League East champs because the Orioles keep winning. So the Yankees suffered 2 losses on Wednesday. They lost on the field and off of it as well. Nestor Cortez, he was placed on the injured list. He's got a bit of a bulky elbow right now. It looks like the imaging came back okay, but there were mixed messages coming out of the camp. One side saying, he should be okay. And Aaron Boone said, well, no, this thing might extend for a while. If the Yankees do not have Nestor for a postseason run, how big a blow is that for them?
That sucks. One, you hate it for Nestor. I mean, he's a good Yankee. He's done a lot. He's handled a lot of adversity this year. Don't love the mixed messaging. That to me is kind of an ominous sign. Hopefully, though, the imaging did come back clear and he can miss the minimum amount of time. Anytime you are missing a key starting pitcher, it is a blow to your team. And I think the Yankees, I'm not sure if this makes that Stroman comes back into the rotation. I know that they put him in the bullpen for a while. I actually thought he handled that really well. I'm not sure if the Marcus Stroman in early years would have had the same kind of reaction. But it's a blow, and especially in the postseason because you're relying on experience. And as we know, the thing that matters the most come playoff time is your starting rotation and its effectiveness. So obviously the Yankees still have Garrett Cole. They'll be okay. but you just hate it because you'd like a team to be at full strength, and not being without Nestor is tough. It's tough for a Yankees organization and a Yankees fan base that is already stressing over the fact that this team just cannot clinch this year or this AL East berth. Let's just do it already. And now you're compounding that with the loss of Nestor and not really knowing what that looks like. I don't love it.
So I think this could be a pretty significant one, and he's a guy that you don't think about much until he's not there. And I don't know what role he was going to play in the playoffs. I think that's the biggest part of this, is that he could be a weapon as a fourth starter if you needed that. He could be a weapon out of the bullpen because remember, he did get moved and then he got put back in the rotation. Now he has thrown a team leading and a career high almost 175 innings. So he's been dependable. But when he got moved to that role and then brought back, he's only given up 1 run in 15 and a third with 18 strikeouts. That's over his last 3 outings. So the guy's pitching well. So it doesn't matter whether that's as a starter or coming out as a long guy out of the bullpen. Freaky shit happens in the playoffs. You have seen it. I have seen it. You can't just say, oh, yeah, well, this guy can give us 6 innings. That's not what playoff baseball is about. The amount of pressure and how taxing it can be on a starting pitcher, like they have worked their ass off. They have so much adrenaline going through their body, and now they've recorded 1 out in the 4th, and they're like, Jesus, are you kidding? Like, I've gotten 10 outs so far. How many more do I have to get? So, guys in the middle part of that game are enormous. I think this could be a pretty significant blow to them.
You're spot on. And I think that's what you're seeing when we talk about playoff team structures. We talk about the rotation and we talk about having a lethal shutdown bullpen in the back end, but having that middle guy in relief, because you never know, shit happens in the playoffs, emergencies happen. Having someone that you can come in and trust. I mean, I remember the Cardinals in 22, they had 3 starters in the bullpen with experience. They had Adam Wainwright, they had Steven Matz, they had Jack Flaherty, and that was for all emergencies. They never got there, but sorry about it. It makes sense to see, like, you have 3 pitchers with pretty strong pedigrees all in the bullpen in case something wild happened in their must-win do-or-die game. They ultimately just lost because the Phillies were better. But having that kind of presence is instrumental, and it just allows everybody, especially your starting pitchers, to relax because they're like, hey, I have a teammate here where if anything comes up and something goes wild, they have my back and we trust them. I think everyone in that Yankees rotation trusts Nestor Cortez to come in and handle business if need be. So, yeah, you know what, Rosie, I think you're spot on there.
All right, so the Yankees are still fighting it out for the 1 or the 2 seed. We assume that the Yankees this weekend are going to take a game from the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they should be fine for the American League East, but they're still going to be battling it out with the Cleveland Guardians for that top seed in the American League playoff chase. Guardians last night wrapped up the Ohio Cup, which they won yet again against the Cincinnati Reds. But more than that, they had a perfect game going into the 7th until this happened.
18 batters they faced.
Little bunt attempt. Heron grabs it, fires it, not in time, and that'll be the first hit of the night, and listen to the boos.
Any problem with what TJ Friedel did?
I don't have a problem with it. It's a perfect game. No one wants to be on the opposite end of that. Make the opposition make a play. I get where people come from. You want to have them. It's baseball. There are no rules on how to do this. If you're on a team that is getting perfect gamed and you don't want that to happen to you, get on base. So no, I have no problem with that.
0. Stephen Vogt answered it as well afterward. It was a 2-0 game. It wasn't 12-0. If it's 12-0 in the 7th,
sure, that's different.
Different. But it's 2-0. You're trying to get a base runner and a blast, and you're tying it. And by the way, the Reds did eventually tie it, and then Jose Ramirez hit a ball 500 feet, and the Cleveland Guardians ended up winning.
Well,
so I have 0 problem with this. Anybody who does, like, I understand why the fans there booed because they wanted to see a perfect game. The Guardians, by the way, have not had a no-hitter even since Len Barker threw a perfect game in 1981. And everybody in Cleveland swears they were there against the Toronto Blue Jays. And it's not true. I don't swear I was there. I was watching in my family room with my brother, Pete. Yes, I have a brother named Pete Rose. So there you go.
I like that.
Thank you. By the way, we've had this discussion with Plouffe last week. The Guardians did a bullpen game yesterday. How would you feel about seeing a bullpen perfect game? What do you think your feeling would be?
So when I was in the minor leagues, we had a lot of combined no-hitters. Not a lot of combined perfect games, but 1 or 2. And, like, it's fine.
Wait a second.
It's fine. A perfect game, that's hard to do, but I don't know. I'm not really bought into the whole combined no-hitter, combined perfect game feat.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't
to
know how
me,
I would feel either. Like, I saw it on my phone last night as we were out to dinner with Brady, and I was like, do I put it on? Not put it on? What do I don't know.
Yeah, because it just doesn't, it hits different. I don't know. I don't think it's for me.
Where were you in the minor leagues? I love hearing this stuff.
I was in the Pacific Coast League. So,
Oh gosh.
yeah, actually a lot of offense there. So I was surprised at how many combined no-hitters there were. But it was through all levels. So it was AAA down to low A. Saw a lot of prospects that are all, most of them big names in the big leagues now. So that's been cool.
Did anybody combine for a no-hitter or a perfect game that is like a star now?
I'm sure they did.
Right.
Here's my problem is I can barely remember what I was doing yesterday, let alone 4 years ago.
You were covering the Cardinals Rockies.
Allegedly, yes. If my bosses are listening, yes, I was doing that. I definitely did not meet my friend in the crowd for an inning to get a churro. But I definitely didn't do that.
Woo, you're the best. You're a fun one. I get it. Want to let everybody know I've been wearing True Classic tees on repeat. This is no joke. In part because when I don't know if people were the same. When I was a kid and my mom would bring home clothes for me to try on, I hated going to the store, so she'd have to bring them home. They were too itchy for me. I would put clothes on and I would start itching, and I hated it. So I have found the best T-shirts ever. In fact, I wore one on the plane yesterday. Michelle digs them so much, she actually was hugging me on the plane. I don't think that's because she's afraid of flying. I actually think it's because she liked the T-shirt. So they're designed to bring out your best features. True Classic shirts tailored for the perfect fit. They're snug in the arms and chest with just the right amount of room in the midsection for us dad bod guys. So True Classic sells premium products at a very affordable price. You can get their best-selling T-shirts, hoodies, jeans, more in 3, 6, and 9 packs. True Classic's activewear, it becomes essential for workouts and vacations alike. Their activewear crew necks, they offer moisture-wicking, quick dry, and odor control as well. You can pair them with their super soft, stretchy joggers for all-day comfort. Mix and match to the best durability. Right now, you can actually unlock big savings when you bundle items site-wide. So just go to our exclusive link, trueclassic.com/today to save. That is trueclassic.com/today. Shop now and elevate your wardrobe today. Finally, before we get out of here, I'm not going to say we've made fun of the Chicago White Sox this year. I think they've taken care of all of that. However, they are doing their damnedest to avoid history.
Teddy with a good rip. This one's going to fall. Vargas rounding third, coming home, and walking off. White Sox with a win in the 10th. Take that, history.
I'm sorry, I have to laugh at that. Take that, history. So they remain tied with the 62 expansion New York Mets at 120 losses for the most ever in a single season in the modern era. Are you rooting for the White Sox to do some damage against the Tigers this weekend so they don't get the record?
So you'll have to refresh my memory here, Rosie. Do the White Sox play one more game today at home?
I don't believe so. Let me check here.
So
I think they hold on. Yeah, they are. Yeah. By the time some people see this, they might have the record.
Okay, but are they off today or are they at home?
No, they're at home against the Angels.
So it has to be today. Give those fans at home something to say that they were there for. They suffered for so much this year. They have to lose today. I actually think it's disrespectful to the fans if they lose on the road, because then what? You didn't give your fans anything. At least if you lose today, those Chicago White Sox fans can say, I was there when they lost 121 games and set a record. And that might be the only thing that you can say about the White Sox, but that is objectively cool. The worst thing you could do is get that historic loss on the road. Tigers fans are celebrating enough already. Don't give them another piece of history. Do it today, Chicago. It's the Angels, okay? I know it's like a battle of futility out there, but you can do it. And, I'm a Grady Sizemore fan. Love his work. Do it today, Grady.
Love his work. Did you see that they're actually going to consider him now for the full-time
I like
job?
that. I like that. I think that will be actually. Let's do a little separate tangent. I think that will be a coveted job, especially for new managers, because you're going to be developing with the team. So I like a first-year manager going in there, but I can also hear the argument of no. If you're going to be developing the team, you need someone who's done it before and can show the ropes. But I'm not in the White Sox clubhouse every day. I'm not sure what that environment looks like. But if the players have bought into Grady, yeah, why not? Why not give him a shot?
I hope so. I mean, I'm a huge Grady fan. He came on the Rose rotation. I mean, who the hell could have done anything with that team?
No.
And on top of it, Bob Nightingale, in between body shots, reported that they're going to cut payroll.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
come on.
that's good. That's good. The White Sox definitely need to lose today because their fans need one thing. Give them that.
I didn't even think of that. That's very good, Woo. See, that's the sort of insight and thought-provoking analysis that we don't get when Trevor Plouffe is here.
Freaking Trevor.
Slacker. All I can tell you is this. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping us out so much during the regular season. You're awesome. Love your perspective from somebody who's out there grinding with a team on the beat every day. For people that aren't familiar with the beat in baseball, it is as tough a job as there is in this entire sport. So I know you can see the finish line. Are you going to stay at home this weekend?
I am not. The Cardinals are going to do an end-of-season press conference, I believe, Monday morning. So we'll fly back Sunday night. I'll stay in St. Louis for about a week or so, wrap up the season, and then a home stretch for me, Rosie. I'll go back to California for up until the GM meetings start. So then we'll start it all over again.
Well, I'm talking about, are you going to stay in your home?
In my home. No, I am not. My brother lives in the city, though, so I'll be with him.
Oh, that's cool. That's
yes.
nice. He's not. Is he? He's not in baseball, is he?
No, he's not. He is a big Padres fan, and he is a big Matt Carpenter fan. So, yeah, good taste, I guess.
And you introduced him to Matt Carpenter, I'm sure.
I have not, but maybe this weekend. Maybe this weekend if my brother acts right. So, Jared, if you're listening,
come on, Jared, clean it up. Clean it up. Let's go. You're awesome. Thank you so much for helping us out as always. Appreciate your perspective and everything else.
You're the best. Love this show with you.
Thank you. Shout out to our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, plus the uber-talented Katie Wu. Continue to read her work in The Athletic. I am Chris Rose. We'll see you Friday with Jolly Olive here on Baseball Today, presented to you by Booking.com.